you're about to add another achievement to the clarinet playing, which is a television special to boot, isn't it?
Oh, yes, I'm doing September 21st. And as a special feature, I have Billy Graham on, and we're going to have a discussion or a debate on our conflicting moral views. Sure, I'm going to try and save Graham if I possibly can.
Because he's much more liberal in his point of view than you, really, isn't he?
There are certain things that Graham and I do agree on.
I think he's a marvellous man, in fact.
He's a fascinating
I disagree
person.
with some of the things he says, but I think he's a splendid man.
Well, you see, the point is, in a confrontation like that, if we just sit there and both agree on a lot of things, it's not so amusing. But I'm trying to find those subjects that Billy Graham and I disagree on, which there's only 11 million, and we're going to talk about them, because those are the things that we can be amusing with, I think, you know, rather than, you don't want to hear ponderous religious kind of thing from me, certainly.
I don't know what he feels about cat burglary, do you?
I don't know, but it should be interesting to hear what Graham's view on, because everyone knows that I'm one of the most immoral, degenerate people ever to be on this medium. and it's an opportunity for him to really, you know...
You've got some legal, moral passions, though, haven't you? Because one of your passions is food, really, isn't it?
Food? I'm against food. Yeah, and I'm not morally against it, but I think that what happens is it accrues to the system and creates a person.
What did you just say?
I believe in, I'm a weirdo when it comes to food. I don't eat meat, and I eat raw fish, and I eat a lot of vitamin pills, and you know.
Raw fish?
Yeah.
What sort of raw fish?
I don't know, like raw flounder, or, yes, it's nice. You know, you, at the opera or something, you pull a flounder out and begin sucking it.
That's fascinating, because we got a piece of your handwriting, and we got it analyzed. Would you like to know what you're like from your handwriting?
Yes, and I'll tell you if it's true or not.
All right. There is evidence of good rhythm. We've just seen that, right?
Yeah, if that's what they mean by rhythm.
Your good marriage material.
That's amusing. Amusing and almost wry in its inaccuracy. Because I was married 2 times, and I was not good marriage material. You know, I was actually, I was quite poor marriage material, actually. But I have a good handwriting. Go ahead.
You are normally sexy.
I have to...
As opposed to abnormally sexy, I suppose.
No, I'm one of the country's leading perverts. I've often said that. That's true. You know,
oh, no, it says poet here. It doesn't say anything about poets. You would make a very good poet, and you have 100% control over your mind and heart.
No, I don't.
No?
Not at all. I'm wild, I'm carefree, I'm a marvelous elf and an imp, and I just have no compunction about taking my clothes off and running amok down Broadway naked.
When I guested on the Lucy show in the early 70s, it was like somehow reliving a part of my childhood. I'd watched the Lucy show back in small-town England, but I'd never dreamt that I would actually be on it. It was therefore also a special joy when Lucy came on my show together with her great friend, Carol Burnett. We begin with Carol.
What's the favourite event that's happened to you, Carol? What sort of, I mean, it doesn't have to be a childbirth story.
Oh, well, that was one of my favorite events. I mean, having the children. Yeah. Well, I always had a terrible time as a teenager with boys.
How come you were so sexy?
Well, that didn't happen till later.
And funny.
And I never could adjust too well, and I'd have terrible crushes and make a total fool out of myself with boys. There were a couple of instances. One, though, I had a crush on a doctor. I had a rash on my leg. I remember that. And I was about 14, and I couldn't get rid of it, so my grandmother sent me to a clinic here in Hollywood. And the doctor came out, and he smoked a pipe and a little gray at the temples. He looked like, you know, Dr. Kildare, or, you know, one of those, really darling looking. And he said, "What's the matter?" And I went, "Ugh," you know, "Well, I've got this rash on my leg." And he said, "Well, let's look at that little leg." I said, "Here," you know. And, he said, "Oh, yes, you do. Well, I'll give you heat treatment." So he gave it with a little lamp, and then he gave me some salve. And I said, "Thank you." He said, "Well, I hope that takes care of it." And I went home that night and scratched it, you know, so that I could go back. And so I kept going back and seeing him, and I thought I was in love. I was mad for him. So finally he said, "You know, that's not going away, so I think I'll have to give you penicillin shot for that. And I didn't know what a penicillin shot was, and I thought all I knew from shots was here. And I started to, you know, now I'm 14, mind you, and he said, no, sweetheart, now you get up on the table and pull down your panties, and I give it to you in the bottom. Well, I wanted to die. I love you. You can't do this to me. I'm thinking, what are you doing? I was so embarrassed. I didn't even feel the needle or anything, you know. And all the time he was giving me the shot, I thought, I've got to be mature about this and grown up. It's not going to affect me in the least. And I got up and adjusted myself, and I said, thanks, Doc. I'll see you next week. And I opened a door and walked right into a closet. And I didn't know. I stayed there.
People always say, A, that it is difficult for a woman to be funny, and B, that people are never sure whether to laugh at women. How do you conquer that, or do you think it's rubbish in the first place?
I didn't even hear you. What'd you say? Do you know what he said?
Yes.
What were you doing? What were you doing?
No, actually, I have never been able to answer that. Go ahead, Carol, take it.
What did you say, Dave?
Have you ever been able to answer anyone when they talk about us being
No, I mean, is there a problem?
comedians?
Is there a problem being a woman and being funny?
Well, I think the problem originally stems from being a little girl, and they say they should just be seen and not heard, whereas if a little boy's a cut up, they say, isn't he a caution, you know?
Yeah.
And
I never thought of that.
I think that's instilled in us from childhood, but my mother was a kook, so she never shut me up. And she would let me say silly things and do silly things. And so I was never inhibited that much around the house or anything. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but it fills up time, David.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with it. And you've got to think of a better answer.
Well, I think you were mentioning something about the way people feel about women doing comedy. Were you not, Mr. Frost? It's a preconceived notion that a lot of people have done a lot of writing about. Don't laugh at me.
I love it.
But they expect you to be, and right away they say the word masculine, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. Unattractive, maybe, mugging and doing pratfalls and doing things that maybe nice little girls weren't supposed to do at one time. But I have never thought of it as a hindrance, as something that we shouldn't do. If I believe in a situation, George was talking about this when he was out, if I believe in a situation, I know Carol feels the same way. We absolutely believe the silly things we do, and we have to believe them first. And I mean really believe them. And then we just go ahead and do them. We don't think how we look.
Is it easy, for instance, though, to be sexy and funny at the same time?
Oh, yes. Very easy.
It may be easy for you, Carol.
How do you manage it?
Oh, come on.
We don't even try. We don't even try to be sexy.
Wake up, and there it is.